Hello, Stephen Shaw here, pastor of Rhythm of Recovery at South Shores Church. For fun and for better understanding, I put together something called the 10 Commitments, based on the 10 Commandments, but a little more graspable and understandable. Let's start. The 10 Commandments are not old and outdated. They come directly from the heart of God. And since He never changes, neither do His truths. These commands are more than rules. They reveal the design for a life that flourishes. Even though we are forgiven and made new through Christ, we are still called to live lives marked by holiness and purity. The fruit of our lives is the visible proof of our faith. The 10 Commitments are not the path to earn salvation, for salvation comes by grace through Christ alone. But they help us understand God's heart. As we meditate on them, they begin to transform ours, leading us into freedom, purpose, and restored relationship with Him and others. A Christ-centered reflection on the 10 Commandments through the lens of restoration and renewal. Commitment 1. Have no other gods before me. Put God first. Heart of God. He knows only His love can truly satisfy and heal. That's the point of this command. Recovery focus. Let go of idols. That's anything you put in front of God. Substances, relationships, control, or approval that takes God's place in your heart. Only God can restore what is broken and fill what is empty. Do not make idols. Let go of false fixes. Heart of God. He wants us free from the things we build to numb pain or replace His presence. Everything we're searching for, we can find in Him. Recovery focus. Surrender anything you turn to for comfort instead of God. People, pleasure, performance, or painkillers. What we obey is our God. Choose what heals, not what hides. Commitment 3. Do not misuse God's name. Honor the source of your strength. Heart of God. His name represents His character. Steadfast, faithful, holy, holy, holy. Recovery focus. Speak truthfully about your recovery and about God's work in your life. To use His name is to live His way. Anything else is blasphemy, not just what you say. Using the Lord's name in vain isn't that word that people say. That's not what that's about. God isn't even His name. That's a title. God's name is not a label. It's the lifeline that gives meaning to yours. We say Yahweh, Yeshua, Jesus, the Christ, and those names hold power. Remember the Sabbath. That is rest and recharge in God's grace. Heart of God. You're not a machine. Rest is sacred, not selfish. Recovery focus. Build rhythms of rest, reflection, and gratitude into your week. Healing happens in stillness. Be still and know that He is God. Recover requires wisdom. Pause. Breathe. Focus in Christ and let God restore your soul. Honor your father and mother. Heal from the past. Honor through growth. Heart of God. Family shapes us deeply, in the positive or the negative, but He can redeem every story. Recovery focus. Acknowledge where broken relationships have caused wounds. Choose forgiveness, even when reconciliation isn't possible. Honor isn't ignoring pain. It's choosing healing over hatred. Commitment 6. Do not murder. Value life, yours and others. Heart of God. Life is sacred from conception. Anger, resentment, and violence destroy the soul. Let go of destructive thoughts and behaviors. Choose gentleness, especially with yourself. Each sober day is a declaration, I choose life. Commitment 7. Do not commit adultery. Be fruitful in heart and habit. Heart of God, He calls us to real intimacy built on trust, not escape. Recovery focus. Practice integrity in your relationships and honesty in your thoughts. Faithfulness isn't perfection, it's consistency in the same direction. Commitment 8. Do not steal. Be content. Respect what isn't yours. Heart of God. God desires that you live with gratitude and integrity, trusting Him to provide what we need. Stealing reveals fear and lack of trust, the fear that God won't come through. Recovery focus. In addiction, we often took time, trust, and opportunities, even peace from others and ourselves. Recovery teaches us to live differently, to give back, to make amends, and to find satisfaction in what God has already given. Freedom begins when we stop taking and start restoring. Remember, all we need is Christ. If you have Him, you're good. Do not bear false witness. Commitment number 9. Walk in truth and transparency. Heart of God. Lies fracture community. Truth restores connection. What's the opposite of addiction? I hope you said connection. Recovery focus. Tell the truth to God, to yourself, and to others. Secrets lose power when brought to light. Healing begins where honesty begins. Commitment 10. Do not covet. Be content. Gratitude is your freedom. Heart of God. He wants you to be free from comparison and cravings. Recovery focus. Gratitude turns what we have into enough. Recovery isn't about having more. It's about being whole. Peace comes from when you stop chasing what God never promised you. Conclusion. These 10 commitments guide our minds and guard our hearts. Real and lasting change begin when we draw near to God, because only His presence transforms us from the inside out. Sobriety is a beautiful step, but the ultimate goal is eternal salvation. We are not defined by the label addict or by our past, but by the grace of God that makes us new. He has declared us His righteousness, so be that. We are all born under the curse of sin that came through Adam, Romans 5. But through Christ, we are given the choice of a new identity. That one leads to life as a child of God. That's who you are if you believe in Jesus. For in Adam all die, in Christ all shall live. Love you guys.